All right, we are here on the seventh track, and the first time we get to what Shawnee, I'll just steal your line, the B side of this playlist, the Brett songs that were added. This was a unique, I think, experiment. And Brett, I'll let you definitely jump into Donnie and Joe Emerson in a second. But the way chronologically that this all came was Sean and I kind of stepping, alternating almost in the first six songs chronologically, and then you brought some kind of modern side to this as well. That actually kind of spans a little bit of a genre. It's not like 2025 modern as well, but love to kind of hear how you kind of came to these tracks as well as Baby specifically for Donnie and Joe Emerson.
Well, I'm going to send it right back to you because I believe you introduced me to the Ariel Pink version of the song Baby, which was released, in like 2017, 20, somewhere recently. And that song, I mean, Ariel Pink's version of it just was like, it just melts. It melted me when I heard it, and it was on one of your mixed CDs that you would send out to us. And man, that particular track just has always landed in a sweet spot for me, and it's felt so soulful. So when I did a little bit of research around soul music, similar to you guys, I wanted to find something that was a little bit rare, a little bit less known, and then when I realized and remembered that, oh right, that's a redo, that's a cover of an original song, a song with Don and Joe Emerson, I was like, okay, this has got to go on there. I have to have an opportunity to talk about this. Partly because, and you outed yourself at the beginning, Grant, saying I haven't really dabbled in this a lot, and I'm calling bullshit because you do dabble in this. You just maybe don't know it, or like the influence is so buried, buried in the story and buried in the modernization of some of these songs that I think that you have a feel for it, and I think the way that Ariel Pink did it is very similar to the original, and so to me, it just felt like sonically, this would be something that you already really love and resonate with. The quality of the lyrics, it's almost like he's whispering, like really close to your ear, like it's a secret that Donnie and Joe are telling the listener, and that makes it feel like raw and intimate and sweet in a way that I do think is probably influenced by Marvin Gaye and influenced by some of these singers that would work their voices, not just singing out loud in sort of the traditional Motown way, but like kind of getting the listener to lean in. And this song does that for me. I really love the track altogether. I love Ariel Pink's version of it. I love Donnie and Joe Emerson's version of it. I'm really just like, I had to mention that you do more than dabble in it. You actually have an appreciation for it, whether you like it or not. So I'm going to send it back to you because that seems like the thing to do.
Oh, it's fair. It's a bit of an unknown. We've talked about it before, like genres. These lines you kind of mentioned earlier, like where does the line? Do we need lines? We kind of inadvertently create these kind of buckets or lines or something. And I even kind of mentioned early in some of the Motown a bit of the formula of how they did it, and it was purposeful and it wasn't unartful. It was absolutely art, but for specific left and right limits, or we want it to sound like this. I mean, what musician maybe doesn't have a vision to execute to? I think you're right. And when I was going through the project here too, there was a bit of, and you actually sparked this in me by this song going, yeah, like there's a ton of, whether it's Chillwave or it's Joe Pernice and his, buddies in his kitchen right in Massachusetts, like soul and deep feeling comes out of musicians all the time. Maybe to some that don't. I think Dottie got to pick a song on the way home last night, which was the new Sabrina Carpenter song, Man Child. And I was like, this one's not for me. There's not a lot of soul in this one, but there's just this deep catalog of so many other things to explore. And you're right. I think the Ariel Pink version was 2012, And that came into my ears through kind of, I think it was actually like on our direct TV. There was a channel that was like indie pop or indie chill wave or something. And we just always had that on in the background and would learn about a ton of new albums and records and a different genre that was kind of feeding it. I read that, I didn't know anything about Donnie and Joe Emerson, I love that it's always brothers. I mean, to me, that's always special when brothers get together to create some music, and that they recorded this on their farm. I did not know this until Ariel Pink had covered it, and then went backwards. But he said this was pure atmosphere. That this song just creates this atmosphere, and I think that's a really sharp two words of saying pure atmosphere is what's created with this. I think it's magic too when a musician or a set of musicians create something that I won't say simple. I feel like simple is such a negative part of it, but the baby version that is their original version, it's not, I mean, it kind of fits in the pocket, so to speak. But then Ariel Pink kind of expands it a little bit, and there's all kinds of different ways that artists will expand beyond that and grow this initial thought or this initial seedling and take it in different ways. I think that's such a way to honor these musicians when you reinterpret or you take that idea and you take it in different directions. And so I think this is an example of that influence. Now, we don't know. I mean, Donnie and Joe Emerson didn't go on to do many other things, but to imagine the lightning strike that came to them when they met or created this and their farm in Washington, that's such a cool story to then have this later on influence and how this music cycles back to us. I like that feeling too. And that's something I think this podcast, this playlist, this podcast today, this episode specifically, to go back. At the same time, I've got a big list of 2025 songs that have all been released that are moving me right now too, but that lineage of all of them to get to this point. I really appreciate that the playlist or the previous mix CDs kind of come back into your ears and that this one emerged. When Brett was the last one to add your songs, when this came on, it absolutely shifted my happiness, but also in a good way, but also was like, oh yeah, this line is there. So I appreciate that. I'm glad that you called it out. Listening for soulful feeling is definitely throughout a lot of the songs that we all love. So thanks for adding that. Shawnee, unless Brett, you got anything else to add before we throw to Shawnee?
Well, I was going to mention that the track that people will see on YouTube is a live version from only 5 months ago of Donnie Emerson and Nancy Sophia playing live at KEXP. So it's a treat to see him play it live and fresh. So I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah. Shawnee, over to you.
Yeah, this is a song that I didn't know, and as I was learning more about it, I think one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Brett, is does TikTok have anything to do with this song landing on this playlist?
What's TikTok? No, I have no. I was not influenced by TikTok. Not directly. No, it was Grant. It was 100% Grant.
Yeah. Well,
Grant plus Spotify.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. The reason I ask is apparently this song has had a resurgence on TikTok, and TikTok as a parent is troublesome and problematic. I'll take those two words and I'll call it problematic. Insert into album file name folder
There you
or
go.
band name folder. It's problematic because of the endless scroll, and of course it's not the only app that has the endless scroll, but it's really easy to get pulled into it, and my kids harass me about not having it, and it's mostly like a self-preservation thing of not wanting yet another app that is going to serve me interesting things and pull me down into it. But apparently this song is trending, and it's this challenge called Dreaming Wild Challenge, which is the name of the album. And apparently, I mean, I've not seen any of these, and I found this late last night, and my kids are in other parts of the world, so I couldn't ask anybody about it really. But apparently, it's the challenge is to put something on your TikTok that's meaningful, or a slow dance, or a something. And I think it's really interesting to me the way TikTok is resurfacing songs. There's times where I'll be playing something, and it's just kind of background music, and then all of a sudden one of the kids will pop up and they'll say, "What is this?" And I'll say it, and they know it, and they know it because TikTok is resurfacing some of these songs. So I have a newfound appreciation for this platform and the way they're highlighting good music, and in some ways helping to shine a light on music that wasn't the most popular. It's somewhere off in this place that needed to be rediscovered. And so I appreciate that. This, like I said, this isn't an artist that I knew at all, but I can very much appreciate the musicality here. I think Brett, you called it whispering and intimate, almost like telling a secret, the way the vocals are. I think that's a really good description. It feels that way. And then it also feels very late night to me, the way he's in that vocal pocket, just singing just behind the beat, or in some cases, well behind the beat. But it's just so laid back and smooth. And then I also, I'm always drawn to what the percussionist is doing. And in this case, they're not hitting the snare, they're actually hitting the hi-hat in place of the snare. And then as the song builds, I think they start to add in more snare, but it's not on the 2 and 4, it's only on the 2, and then it's the hi-hat on the 4. So it's like, hey, we're going to build up a little, but we're not getting away from the sort of down-tempo, understated backbeat that the song really needs. So that's pretty clever, in my opinion. There is a piece here of a misheard lyric for me, because when I first heard it, I thought he was saying, "You're so baby." And apparently, and maybe he is saying that. Genius on Spotify says that they're saying, "Yes, oh baby." So I kind of like "You're so baby" a little better. And for some reason that phrase has been in my brain sometime before I heard this song, because it seems like it's common for people in movies and in pop culture to call someone that they love baby, and then to have the line like "You're so baby," it kind of means like, that's only the word that I use for the person that I love, and you're so that. So I liked that. And then when I looked at the lyrics, I was a little disappointed that that's not what they said. So I might file this in the bucket of, I think Spotify might not have it right. So like, if you know better, I want you to school me and tell me what the lyrics actually are. But in my mind, they're "You're so baby."
Well, I think this is a thing. So I had a similar mis-listening, and remember, my first listen of the song "Baby" was Ariel Pink's version. Mm-hmm. And so I had that's a similar thing. I was going to talk about it a little bit, but I was kind of like, okay, well, I don't know what to say there. So what I did just now, as you were saying that, was like, is there something to that? Because Ariel Pink's version does sound like he's saying "You're so baby." And on Genius.com, now, not that they're the de facto ruler of all correctness, but it does say "You're so baby." Oh, yeah. So it says "You're so baby," and not "Yes, oh baby." Yeah. The way the other lyrics say. So who knows who's correct? And to steal an idea from Seal, like, who cares? Who cares? Like, the sound that it's making is resonating in your ear and telling a story, regardless of whether you understand what the artist intended. So yeah, I think it's really funny that you named that. I have always felt like that's a fun phrase, "You're so baby," especially in the context of this song and the like sweetness of it. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I think it is in the eye of the beholder, or so to speak, or it's up for me to interpret it. And to me, it's an order of magnitude more interesting for it to be "You're so baby," for all the reasons that I said a minute ago. Hey, I'll just close out with this. I saw this quote from a Guardian critic that I thought summed this up pretty well. He says, "This is a song that seems to orbit its own center endlessly." And that I think encapsulates it. It does have this kind of circular feel to it. And if you told me that this was a 21-minute song, I wouldn't doubt you.
it seems like it could go on like that, and it seems like there's some intimate settings where you might want the song to last that long or longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't be upset if it was a 20-minute song. Yeah.
I love it. I think the delicate nature of the music back to earlier on in the playlist to bring the voice out front again was the re-centering to that theme that we had earlier. There is a couple things. There's a movie that apparently came out in 2023, Dreamin' Wild, which was the name of the album that's based on this. And I now want to go watch that. And the album art is what I'm going to leave you with. Donnie and Joe Emerson, Dreaming Wild. It looks like it's like a, in a mall kind of glamour shots kind of feeling with it. I mean, this is 1970.
79.
Yeah, 79. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Light in the Attic Records.
there you go. So, I mean, there's a lot to it. I like what you said too, Sean, about the orbiting itself for forever. I've always said "You're So Baby," and that's kind of been like, that's a great way to kind of interpret it yourself. So, Brett, thanks for bringing it. I loved it. I like the conversation too about resurfacing things. Funny how TikTok can do that. There's a downside to it. There's an upside to the community it brings and says, here's your Dreamin' Wild challenge. Go for it and see the positivity that can bring, as well as the exposure to some old stuff or new stuff or old or middle or whatever. So with that, this is off the 1979 Dreamin' Wild album. This is the original version of the song Baby by Donnie and Joe Emerson.